Welcome, coin enthusiasts. Today we're diving into the fascinating history of the 1865 Liberty-seated $1 coin, struck at the end of the Civil War. This rare silver dollar not only carries the beauty of Gobrecht's classic design, but also reflects a nation in transition. With its low mintage, historical importance, and connection to one of America's most pivotal years, the $1,865 is truly a treasure for collectors and history lovers alike. The top for let's get the satire first up. The year 1865 was a defining moment in United States history, marking the end of the Civil War and the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. In this turbulent period, the U.S. Mint continued to produce coinage, including the silver $1 coin, popularly known as the Liberty-seated dollar. These coins reflected the nation's determination to maintain stability in its currency despite the social and political upheaval. The Liberty-seated dollar had been introduced in 1840 and continued until 1873. Designed by Christian Gobrecht, the coin featured the iconic image of Lady Liberty seated on a rock, holding a shield and a pole with a liberty cap. This design symbolized freedom and vigilance, values that were especially meaningful during the final months of the Civil War. On the obverse of the $1,865, Lady Liberty faces left, her figure draped in flowing robes. She holds a shield inscribed with the word liberty, representing the nation's commitment to democracy. The date 1865 is struck below the figure, reminding collectors of its historic context in American history. The reverse of the coin displayed a bold heraldic eagle, with outstretched wings clutching arrows in an olive branch. Above the eagle appeared the motto United States of America, along with the denomination 1DOL. This imagery symbolized both the strength of a union and the hope for peace, reflecting the end of war that year. The 1865 Liberty-seated dollar was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing 26.73 grams with a diameter of 38.1 millimeters. Its composition was consistent with earlier silver dollars, maintaining a trusted standard in U.S. coinage. The reeded edge served both aesthetic and anti-counterfeiting purposes. In 1865, the Philadelphia Mint was the only facility that produced silver dollars. Unlike smaller denominations, no branch mint struck the $1 coin that year. This limited mintage contributes to the rarity of the coin today. The official reported mintage of the 1865 Liberty-seated dollar was 46,500 pieces, a relatively low figure compared to other denominations. Much of the silver dollar production in this era was used for international trade or melted down later, making surviving examples scarce. The end of the Civil War deeply influenced the circulation of silver coinage. During the war, precious metal coins disappeared from daily commerce, hoarded by the public in response to economic uncertainty. As a result, many 1865 silver dollars never saw widespread use, surviving in better condition than heavily circulated coins of earlier years. Another important factor in 1865 was the rise of paper currency. The U.S. government had issued large amounts of greenbacks to finance the war effort, which reduced the public's reliance on silver dollars. This change in monetary habits meant that fewer silver dollars were needed in circulation, further limiting their production. Numismatists highly prized the $1,865 because of its dual significance. It is both a collectible artifact of the Civil War era and a coin with an extremely limited survival rate. Many examples were lost to melting during the silver shortages of later decades, which reduced the number available to modern collectors. High-grade specimens of the 1865 Liberty-seated dollar are rare and command strong premiums at auctions. Even circulated examples are valuable, especially those that retain original detail and luster. Proof versions were also struck in limited numbers, around 500 pieces, and these are among the most sought-after Civil War-era coins. The coin is also historically significant because 1865 marked a transition point for the U.S. Mint. As the war ended, the Mint began preparing for new coinage designs that would better represent the reunified nation. The Liberty-seated design, while elegant, was seen as outdated by the early 1870s. Collectors often link the 1865 Liberty-seated dollar with other important Civil War coins, such as a 2-cent piece, first to bear the motto "In God We Trust," and a bronze Indian head cents. Together, They illustrate the resilience of American coinage during one of the most challenging periods in U.S. history. Surviving examples of the $1,865 can be found in museums, national coin collections, and private holdings. Some are carefully preserved in protective holders, while others show the wear and tear of having circulated briefly in post-war America. Each piece tells a story of its own journey. Market values for the 1865 Liberty-seated dollar vary widely depending on condition. A heavily worn example may sell for thousands of dollars, while uncirculated specimens with sharp details can command tens of thousands. Proof strikes are known to exceed even higher amounts due to their rarity and beauty. In summary, the 1865 $1 coin represents more than just currency. It is a tangible link to the conclusion of the Civil War, the struggles of a nation in transition, and the artistry of mid-19th century American coinage. With its low mintage, historical significance, and elegant design, the Liberty-seated dollar of 1865 remains a treasure in numismatic history. Next up, the 1951 Liberty half dollar is part of the famous Franklin half dollar series, minted from 1948 to 1963. This coin series is unique because it features the image of Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, instead of the usual portrayal of Lady Liberty. Designed by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek, the Franklin half dollar was created to honor Franklin's legacy as a statesman, inventor, philosopher, and a leading figure of the American Enlightenment. Unlike earlier half dollars that focus on symbolic liberty figures, the Franklin series was the first to depict a non-present historical figure. The obverse of the coin features a right-facing profile of Benjamin Franklin with the inscription Liberty above his head and the motto, "In God We Trust" below. The date of issue, in this case 1951, is located to the right of Franklin's portrait. On the reverse, Sinek chose to depict the iconic Liberty Bell, symbolizing American independence. To the right of the bell is a small eagle, included to satisfy a U.S. law that required an eagle on all half-dollar coins. The inscriptions include United States of America around the top, E pluribus unum to the left of the bell, and the denomination half-dollar at the bottom. The 1951 half-dollar was struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver D, and San Francisco S. Coins minted in Denver and San Francisco bear their mint marks on the reverse side above the Liberty Bell. Collectors today often differentiate these varieties, and some are more scarce than others depending on mintage numbers. The total mintage of the 1951 Franklin half-dollar reached millions, with the Philadelphia Mint producing over 16 million coins, Denver striking around 9 million, and San Francisco about 13 million. These large numbers meant that the coin was widely circulated, making it accessible to the public and ensuring it became a common sight in daily commerce during the early 1950s. Composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, the 1951 Liberty half dollar had a standard weight of 12.5 grams and a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. Its silver content made it a valuable piece not only in commerce, but also in terms of intrinsic metal value. Many of these coins were later melted when silver prices rose, reducing the number of high-quality examples available to collectors today. The choice of Benjamin Franklin was influenced by U.S. Mint Director Nellie Taylor Ross, the first woman to hold the position. She admired Franklin and pushed for his portrait to be used on a half-dollar, replacing the previous Walking Liberty design. While the Walking Liberty design by Adolph A. Weinman is considered one of the most beautiful U.S. coins, Franklin's portrait gave the new half-dollar a more historical and intellectual symbolism. One interesting detail about the Franklin half-dollar is the presence of the Liberty Bell's crack on the reverse design. This sparked some public controversy, as many Americans consider it unpatriotic to display a cracked national symbol on coinage. However, Sinek and the Mint defended the design, pointing out that the crack is an essential and authentic part of the Liberty Bell's history. Collectors of the 1951 Franklin half-dollar often pay special attention to the quality of the Liberty Bell details. The sharpness of the bell lines, particularly the horizontal lines across the bottom of the bell, is used as a grading standard called full bell lines, FBL. Coins with full bell lines are rare and highly desirable, often commanding significant premiums on the collector's market. The 1951 half dollar circulated widely in the U.S. economy during the early 1950s, a period marked by post-war prosperity, the Korean War, and cultural changes. The coin was not saved in large numbers upon release, as it was primarily used in everyday transactions such as grocery shopping, gas payments, and larger purchases, making high-grade uncirculated examples scarcer. In terms of design criticism, some numismatists have argued that the Franklin portrait is too plain compared to earlier Liberty-inspired half dollars. However, others believe the simplicity of the coin reflects Franklin's practical, intellectual nature and provides a stark contrast to more artistic designs like the Walking Liberty or the later Kennedy half dollar. The 1951 Franklin half dollar also played a role in the broader evolution of American coinage. It represents a period when the U.S. Mint shifted from allegorical liberty figures to honoring real historical personalities. This paved the way for later coins featuring presidents and other influential figures, such as the Kennedy half dollar, the Eisenhower dollar, and the Washington quarter. By the 1960s, silver coinage began to disappear from circulation as the metal's value increased. The Franklin half dollar was discontinued in 1963 after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, when the Mint quickly introduced the Kennedy half dollar in 1964. This makes the Franklin series, including the 1951 issue, relatively short-lived in American coin history. Today, the 1951 half dollar is considered a collector's coin. While many circulated examples are available, high-grade uncirculated pieces, especially with full bell lines, are much scarcer. Collectors value these coins not only for their silver content, but also for their role in U.S. history and their distinct design elements. The coin's value depends on condition, mint mark, and strike quality. A typical circulated 1951 Franklin half dollar is worth only slightly more than its silver melt value, but uncirculated and FBL examples can fetch significantly higher prices at auctions and coin shows. Proof versions of the coin, which began being struck in 1950, are also highly sought after. In conclusion, the 1951 Liberty Franklin half dollar stands as a historical piece that bridges the gap between America's classical liberty designs and its later tradition of honoring real figures. With its strong ties to Benjamin Franklin, the Liberty Bell, and mid-20th century America, it remains a symbol of both intellectual achievement and national independence, cherished by collectors and historians alike. Next up, the 1776 to 1976 half dollar, commonly known as the bicentennial Kennedy half dollar, holds a special place in United States coinage history. Issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of American independence, this coin represents both national pride and a continuation of the popular Kennedy half dollar series. The U.S. Mint released these coins in 1975 and 1976, though all of them bear the dual date 1776 to 1976 to symbolize the nation's bicentennial. The coin was part of a larger commemorative program that also included the Washington quarter and Eisenhower dollar. These three coins were chosen to carry special reverse designs to honor the bicentennial, making them unique within modern American circulation. The Kennedy half dollar, already widely collected since its debut in 1964, following President John F. Kennedy's assassination, was a natural choice for this historic occasion. On the obverse, the 1776 to 1976 half dollar retains a familiar bust of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts. This design had become an iconic image on U.S. coinage, symbolizing youth, hope, and the tragic loss of a beloved leader. The only difference from earlier years is the dual date 1776 to 1976, replacing the usual single year of issue. The reverse design was changed for the bicentennial. Created by Seth G. Huntington, it depicts Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the site where the Declaration of Independence was debated and adopted in 1776. This powerful symbol of American democracy connects directly to the nation's founding, making it an appropriate and meaningful choice. The reverse design also includes the inscriptions 200 Years of Freedom and United States of America, half dollar. These words, combined with the image of Independence Hall, evoke a sense of continuity between the past and the present, reminding citizens of the sacrifices and vision of the Founding Fathers. The bicentennial half dollars were minted in enormous numbers at the Philadelphia Mint no mint mark, the Denver Mint D, and the San Francisco Mint S. Circulating versions were struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, while the San Francisco Mint also produced special 40% silver versions for collectors. This gave both everyday Americans and numismatists a chance to own a piece of bicentennial history. Special collector sets were also offered. The U.S. Mint released proof sets and uncirculated sets containing the bicentennial quarter, half dollar, and dollar. The 40% silver sets, available in both uncirculated and proof finishes, became especially popular with collectors who wanted more valuable and long-lasting versions of the coins. Unlike typical commemorative coins, the bicentennial half dollar was released directly into circulation. This widespread availability ensured that millions of Americans handled and used these coins in everyday transactions, embedding the bicentennial celebration into the daily lives of citizens across the country. The coin's dual date is a unique feature in U.S. coinage. Rather than showing the actual year of production, the bicentennial half dollar only reads 1776 to 1976. This decision symbolized the nation's 200-year journey, emphasizing unity in history over individual minting dates. Public reception of the bicentennial half dollar was enthusiastic. Many people saved them as souvenirs rather than spending them, which is why so many of these coins still survive in excellent condition today. Families often kept them in drawers, albums, or jars as reminders of America's 200th birthday. The Kennedy half dollar itself had a strong foundation in American culture. Introduced in 1964 to honor the slain president, it immediately became one of the most collected coins of modern times. The bicentennial version added another layer of historical meaning, combining the memory of Kennedy with the celebration of American independence. From a numismatic perspective, the bicentennial half dollar is one of the most accessible commemorative issues ever produced. Because of the massive mintage, hundreds of millions were struck. Circulated examples are still only worth face value today. However, silver versions, proof coins, and high-grade examples can command premiums among collectors. The coin also serves as an important marker in U.S. mint history. It represented one of the rare moments when circulating coinage carried special designs for a national event. The next time this occurred was in 1999 with the introduction of the 50 State Quarters program, which similarly captured public interest. The bicentennial coinage program helped renew interest in collecting at a time when coin hobby enthusiasm was fading. The patriotic designs, the chance to find them in circulation, and the affordability of collector sets all contributed to a revival of numismatic passion in the mid-1970s. Today, the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half dollar remains a nostalgic keepsake for many Americans. For those who lived through the bicentennial celebrations, these coins are tangible connections to parades, fireworks, and a renewed sense of patriotism. For younger generations, they serve as a reminder of a milestone in U.S. history.